Okay, guys, so what's going to happen today is we're just going to kind of recap functions, and this is pretty much going to be the last day we really work on these. This is going to serve as a review. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two examples with you. I'm going to have you pause it, try the four that should be just like the two examples, and then you'll unpause it when you're done and then see if you're right. And if you're not right, you should look through my work and see where your mistake happened. So on each page, you're going to want to check the gray box that tells you where your f of x and g of x functions are. Remember, whatever in parentheses is what you're going to put in place of the variables. So with that said, we'll get started on this first one. This letter tells you what function to use, so I'm using the f function, which is 8x plus 1. Now what's in parentheses is going to tell you what to replace your variable with. So in this case, it wants your variable x to be 4 instead. So instead of 8 times x, I'm going to do 8 times 4 plus 1. And so then I'll just solve this like regular. This should be 8 times 4 is 32 plus 1 is 33. Okay, in the next one, I've got g. So I'm going to use my g function, 2x squared minus 3. And then it wants me to replace the variable with a 3. So I've got 2 times 3 squared minus 3. Now, remember PEMDAS, we've got to do exponents first. So 3 squared would be 9. A lot of people want to multiply first, but that is not correct. Here I've got 18 minus 3 should be 15. Should be 15. So hopefully that made sense. I'm going to have you pause it now and try these four and then unpause it when you're finished. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got negative 47, 5, 1, and 29. If you do not have those, I'm going to have you pause it and check through my work. If you're ready to go, we're going to go on to the next slide. This page should also be fairly straightforward, or this section, I should say, rather. It's the same two equations in these boxes, and we follow the same steps. So it wants us to use g first, so 2x squared minus 3. And then instead of using the variable x, we need to replace it with the variable a. So 2a squared minus 3. And there's no combining of like terms. There's no more math I can do. So at that point, I'm done. In the next one, f of b, so I'm using 8x plus 1. And I'm just going to replace my x with the variable b. Should be 8b plus 1. And again, there's no more terms I can combine. That's it. So I'm going to have you pause this and try these four now. Okay, here's what I got for these four. This, again, probably was easier than the first one. You're basically just substituting the variables in. So if you're ready to go, we're going to go on to the next page, and this is going to get a little bit trickier. I do want to point out one thing is that while your f of x function is the same, g of x has changed, so be careful with that one. Let's jump in here to this first one, f of x plus 4. So I'm going to start by writing my f function, which is 8x plus 1. And it wants you to substitute in parentheses this x plus 4 instead of x. So instead of 8 times x, I'm going to have 8 times x plus 4. And also plus 1 at the end. So I've got 8 times that plus 1. Since this is in parentheses, I'm going to need to distribute. I've got 8x plus 32 plus 1. So this should be 8x plus 33. All right, looking at the next one, I'm going to use my g function now. So 7, and I'm going to change this to plus negative 3x so that I know I am multiplying by negative 3. Now it has something for you to substitute for x. It wants you to use x minus 3. So I've got 7 plus negative 3 times x, and I'm going to do plus negative 3 as well. Anytime you have subtraction, I think it's a little bit easier if you can do plus negative, so you can see that you're multiplying negatives and positives. I'm going to distribute negative 3x, and this is going to become positive 9. That was not a good line. So we've got 7 plus negative 3x plus 9, and I can combine the negative 7 and the 9 to become 2. So at this point, I'm going to have you pause the video and try 4 examples that are just like these. All right, I just realized I skipped a page. So let's go back here. This is what we should have been looking at for those 4 answers. The only thing maybe you had different was instead of doing like plus negative 47, you obviously could have done minus 47. Those are the same thing. But if you need to pause and look at any of my work, please do so. Otherwise, we're going to go on to the next section. This section I feel like is a little bit easier. Notice though that our g function has changed again. And we're actually starting with g. So we've got 2x minus 3, and it wants us to replace x with 2a. So I've got 2 times 2a minus 3, and 2 times 2a would be 4a. So I'm going to have to write up here. I've got 4a minus 3. And that's it for these. These are kind of nice because multiplying is obviously no distributing and a little bit easier to do. F of 4b, so I've got 8x plus 1 is my f function, and I'm going to replace x with 4b. So I've got 8 times 4b plus 1. And we should have 32b plus 1. Perfect. I'm going to have you pause and try these 4, and I'll see you here in a second. Okay, so here's what we should have been looking at for those 4. You, again, maybe could have done plus negative instead of minus, but other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, now this page is going to combine some stuff for us. So again, pointing out f and g of x have changed now. These are going to combine some rules. So remember, we're going to follow PEMDAS, so always start with your parentheses, which are right here. I'm going to do f of 3 first. So I'm going to do 2x minus 4. And I'm replacing the x with the number 3. So I've got 2 times 3 minus 4. And before I do anything else, I'm going to rewrite the other pieces to this. So I also have a plus 5 at the end. And I have a 4 times this in the front. It's 4 times that. Okay. At this point, we always need to start with our parentheses first, which is kind of right here. This 2 times x minus 4 piece. So I have 2 times 3, which is 6. And 6 minus 4 is 2. Once you've done your parentheses, then you can do the other multiplying and adding pieces, which would be 8 plus 5 is 13. But it's really important that you get your function part first, your f of 3, then do the extra outside stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. We've got 7 times g of 2a plus 5. So again, parentheses, we're going to do our g of 2a first. So g function is 4x plus 3. And if I'm replacing x with 2a, it would look like 4 times 2a plus 3, which is 8a plus 3. Now, if you notice, this g function is in brackets. You see that? So we've done the g of 2a parentheses, but this is still in brackets. And that's important because what that's telling me is it's 7 times all of this. Notice it's not times plus 5 though. This plus 5 is outside of the brackets, and we are going to leave it as such. So we did the g of 2a, the parentheses. We've got to keep it in brackets because 7 is going to be multiplied by the whole thing, meaning we're going to have to distribute. So 7 times 8a will be 56a. 7 times 3 would be 21. And then I also have this random plus 5 at the end, which will combine with 21 plus 5 for a total of 26. So I have 56a plus 26. Okay? At this point, I'm going to have you pause it and try some of these. I think you'll find that the later 2 are easier than the first 2, but maybe I'm wrong. Go ahead and give them a try, though. Okay, so as you're looking here, these are the answers that I got. I'm going to take a minute and let you take this all in and see if you are correct. If you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. The one thing I would say maybe would have tripped you up would be over here. Just remember to do the function first, which is 2x minus 4. So kind of get all those parentheses stuff taken care of. Then lastly, you'll bring down this 3 and multiply just the first term by 3. Notice it's not in brackets here. If it was in brackets, then we would distribute 3 to the other pieces. And same with over here. This function is not in brackets, so I'm not going to distribute 2 to every piece. It's just a 2 times in the front, so it's 2 times that first term of 4x, which is 8x. Hopefully that made sense. If you need to pause it, like I said, go through this more in detail, then you can. We're going to go to the last part of this, which is kind of where we just combine everything. This is as hard as it gets. Still following order of operations, your PEMDAS, we start with parentheses, g of 3. Also notice I do have more new functions. So I've got 4x plus 3 first, and it wants me to substitute x with 3. So 4 times 3 plus 3, which is 12 plus 3 is 15. That is in brackets, because that's up here, and there's an f on the outside. At this point, what I'm going to do is f function with 15 substituted. So I'm going to pick a different color. Let's do red. So now I'm going to use my f function, which is 2x minus 4, and I'm using 15 in place of the x. So 2 times 15 is 30, minus 4 is 26. The first two on your page here are just like that one. The next one's a little harder, a little trickier, but we can do it. We're going to use brackets first, f of x plus 4. So I'm doing my f function, 2x minus 4, and I'm replacing x with x plus 4. So I've got 2x plus 4 minus 4. This will be 2x. This will be 8, and then minus 4. So I've got 2x plus 4. And this is in brackets, and there's a g on the outside. So now what I'm going to do, you guessed it, use my g function to do this 2x plus 4. So let's go with red again. My g function is 4x plus 3. And instead of x, I'm going to use 2x plus 4. I am running out of room. And then plus 3. This should be 8x plus 16 plus 3. And we can combine 16 and 3 to give us 19. So this should be 8x plus 19. I do not have room to do that. At this point, I'm going to have you pause and try these 4 on your own. Let's see what you can do. Okay, so I kind of tricked you here a little bit. First of all, I will tell you that these are the 2 answers for these. Over here, you might have gotten 0 here if you didn't do -4 minus 4 correctly. That's like -4 plus -4, which is -8. Over here, I didn't finish it because I wanted to walk you through it because they were definitely a little bit harder. So hopefully you got to this point. Find that point on your paper where I did my f of 3x, which gave me 6x minus 4. Now I'm ready to insert 6x minus 4 into the g function. So I've got my g function is 4x plus 3. So I've got 4 times 6x minus 4 because it wants me to replace the x with 6x minus 4. And then, so I've got 4 times x plus 3. This is 24x. This is minus 16. This is plus 3. And also don't forget you have a plus 5 over here. So we'll get that in a second. 24x and -16 plus 3 is minus 13. I will then do my plus 5 because that was from earlier, this plus 5. So the final answer for this one should have been 24x minus 8. That's what we're looking for there. Last one here, hopefully, again, you got to this part here where we solved for g of 4a, which is 16a plus 3. Now I'm ready to insert that into my f function, which is 2x minus 4. So instead of 2 times x, I'm going to do 2 times 16a plus 3 minus 4. And this is 32a plus 6 minus 4, which is 32a plus 2. And also we had one extra minus 4 from up here, so that's going to take us into -2. So 32a, I just messed this up, There we go. 32a minus 2.